Greetings, compatriots, and thank you for watching this edition of Meet the Candidate 2024. My name is Jonathan McLeese. I'm a compatriot of Admiral Raphael Sims Camp number 1321 out of Dearborn, Michigan. And I'm joined today by my co-host.
Nice to meet y'all. Cousin Vinny, Vinny Balducci from the northernmost southern state of New Jersey, Private Meredith Pool, Camp 1505 in Hamilton, New Jersey.
And for the next little while, we'll be chatting with Tom Wood, a candidate running for commander of the Army of Tennessee Department at the 2024 National Reunion of the Sons of Confederate Veterans in North Charleston, South Carolina, this upcoming July. Before we get started, let me deliver the following disclaimer. This program and the views or opinions that are expressed and follow along are not authorized or endorsed by the Sons of Confederate Veterans at the national level, its General Executive Council, any Army departments, divisions, brigades, camps, or any other subsidiary of the SCV. This is simply a program made by SCV members for the benefit of the membership, giving members an opportunity to see and hear from the candidates running for offices in 2024 that have a position on the General Executive Council. And now, without further delay, let's bring on our guest. Thanks for coming on this afternoon, Tom. How are you?
Well, I'm great. How are you folks doing?
We're doing fantastic. Thank you, sir.
Good. It's good to see you. Good to be with you. I thank you for this invitation to come and be with you this evening and to talk about this position of Army of Tennessee. I think it's a critical, very important position to be discussed and for our membership to decide on. Before we get into the meat of the interview, I want to publicly, and I have thanked him many times in our private conversations, but I want to thank Commander Jimmy Hill, for current Army of Tennessee commander, for his dedication and for his long hours and many travels across this entire Army of Tennessee area for the past 4 years. I have talked to Jimmy quite a bit, and I think I understand the frustrations, the tiredness, and all of that Jimmy has endured over the past 4 years. So there are 6 goals that I have that I want to focus on for the Army of Tennessee. And I think every camp needs to focus on these 6 things, regardless of your size. One is recruiting. We must continue to recruit new members. We must pay greater attention to the retention of our current members. We cannot afford to lose members just because they no longer want to be part of us. We must retain them and do what we have to do that. We must educate our membership. I traveled around over the past 25 years. I've been a member for 25 years. I've traveled around the Confederation, talking to many camps, making presentations on historical topics, and just going to visit and support them, encourage them. We have way too many camps that are struggling for their actual survival as a camp. They need assistance. They need help. I see this position as a boots on the ground, if I may. We've got to get out to our camps. We've got to visit them. We've got to see what their struggles are. We've got to assist them. We've got to provide them with ideas on maybe how they can get through those struggles. We've got to pay some serious attention to our camps. We're losing camps for a variety of reasons. We cannot afford to lose members in camps. We must do what we have to do to save them. We must communicate better with our camps. I think that may be one of something that you want to talk about later. As I visit camps, I'm finding out that information oftentimes does not get to our members. It doesn't get to its intended target. it's losing someplace in our system. At the brigade level, even at the camp level, information is not being passed on. And we've got to correct that. Our members need communications to keep them involved. Another thing that I have found out in my travels, we need leadership training in our camps. Last year in our Army of Tennessee, we lost 2 entire camps. And you know why? Because nobody would take the leadership position. Those camps folded. We cannot have that. We must train our people. I even experienced that in my own camp, the camp of some 80 members. 4 years ago, I took over the commander position again because nobody else would take that role. So I realized that the future of my own camp was in jeopardy. And it's a strong camp. We are an award-winning camp of division and national awards. But we almost lost it because nobody would take a leadership role. We must train our members. We must encourage them. So in my own particular camp, I have through writing newsletter articles, encouraging at meetings. Guys, we have to have people that are willing to step up. I now have 3 or 4 members that I have put on the staff. I have told them, we will train you. We will guide you along the way. And when the time comes, you will be prepared to take on that role. I have seen in camps in my travels and as Tennessee Division Adjutant, I get calls periodically from a camp adjutant. And he says, hey, I'm a brand new camp adjutant. I got this job a couple of days ago. I have no idea what I'm doing. They said you're the adjutant all of a sudden. We can't do that. That's not the way to do it. Those folks get discouraged. And they sometimes they drop out. I've seen people that were appointed adjutants to simply drop out because they got frustrated over being put in a position that they weren't ready for. We got to avoid that. We have got to bring our people up in the right way, prepare them for these leadership roles. My decision to offer my services for this position was solely based on my desire to strengthen our membership, to strengthen our camps, to place them in a position where they can be more successful and stronger. That's simply the reason I'm running for this position, the only reason. Because I've seen so many struggles and problems over the years.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, that's fantastic. And I mean, boy, you really hit it hard hit the ground running this program, and have certainly summed up, the purpose of running and the goals that you have. If I could just maybe backtrack a little bit, tell us a little bit about yourself, Tom, a little bit about your background and your SCV credentials.
Okay, sure. Thank you for that question. I have been, my name is, I ran for, I ran for state legislature of Tennessee a few years ago. And I learned a lot through that experience. One of the things I learned was that you have to say your name every time you meet somebody. Hi, my name is Tom Wood. I'm running for state legislature. Over and over and over. You can never say your name enough. So in light of that, I will tell you again, my name is Tom Wood. And I am a candidate for AOT commander. I've been married to the same lovely lady for 56 years. We have 3 daughters, and we have 9 grandchildren. And Nancy and I are anticipating on being great grandmother and grandfather in September. So that's exciting.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I am a 7th generation Tennessean, very proud of my Tennessee heritage. I graduated from college and entered the Air Force and served on active duty for 4 years. And I served in the Air National Guard, and I've served in the reserves, retired after 20 years. I have served as a construction manager and construction executive for over 40 years, retiring 8 years ago from Lipscomb University here in Nashville as director of their construction and director of their facilities. Since my retirement, I have basically been working full-time as an SCV, Tennessee Division Adjutant, as the commander of the General Robert H. Hatton Camp here in Lebanon, Tennessee, and writing articles and doing all kinds of related SCV kinds of things. So that's been my effort ever since retirement. That's how I stay active, how I stay busy. And I look forward to the opportunity of serving in this position if selected. And I'm dedicated to the SCV. I'm dedicated to that position, prepared for it. I've talked to previous AOT commanders who I respect greatly, and who are friends of mine. And we've had some pointed conversations about this position. And I understand it's a real job. I think if it's done properly, it is a real job with a lot of effort and a lot of dedication. I know it's a frustrating job. I have talked to them, and I even share their frustrations already, just being Tennessee Division Adjutant and what I go through as a Tennessee Division Adjutant, and as a commander. I've served in a variety of positions with the SCV over the years. So my emphasis has been basically at the camp level and at the division level. I have never served at the national level, but I'm prepared to do that. I think I have the experience that allows me that opportunity.
I loved
I don't know what just happened to Vinny there. Sometimes the connection goes out, but I loved your answer. You've had a lot of wonderful life experience that's prepared you. And how long have you been in the SCV?
I've been in the SCV for just over 25 years.
So yeah, I mean, you've been involved for a long time and held quite a few leadership positions.
Right.
So that's fantastic. Army of Tennessee commander, I know, when I joined the SCV back in 2015, I didn't understand the command structure of the organization. And I know members in my own area and other places. You've got members who probably have been in for decades, and they still really aren't sure what the jobs are that are on the GEC. And I was just wondering if you could define the function of Army of Tennessee commander. You've already said what qualifies you, but if you could maybe just define what that position is.
John, it's interesting what you just said. I find this to be a more prevalent thing than one might imagine. I talk to camps, and they don't know how our organization is structured. They don't understand who does what. I met one camp one evening, and I had another program in mind, and I asked a question, and that question stimulated more questions. We spent the whole evening that night with me just answering their questions about our organization. So that shows a lack of understanding by our people. And how can one get excited about an organization that you know very little about? So this is one of the things I want to concentrate on. I want our people to, and I want National to emphasize this. I want National to be more supportive of our members in things like this, and such things as who are we and what are we about and how are we structured and who does what. Our people need to understand all of these questions, and something I want to focus on. And you just experienced it apparently yourself, that you didn't understand some of the structure. The Army of Tennessee, there are 3 armies, as you know, in our SCV organization. The Army of Tennessee is one of those departments. It covers 11 states from the Canadian border to Key West, Florida. Takes in much of the Midwest and the South. It has right now, my understanding is that we have about 11,000 members in the Army of Tennessee. We've lost some members. Last year alone, we lost 300 members in the Army of Tennessee. We have our work cut out for us. It's a great area of the country. It's a lot of support. You folks in New Jersey and Michigan, you have struggles. I know you have struggles. And I want to be able to help you any way I can, support you. That's my goal. And of course, the Army of Tennessee Commander is a member of the General Executive Council. On the General Executive Council, I would serve as basically your representative for the Army of Tennessee. To give status reports, to update, to provide them with information on our struggles, our successes, and how they can help. And I think National can do more to help our membership on our camps. And that's what I want to be there to try to support. Does that answer your question, John?
I would say it most definitely does. An excellent answer. Thank you, sir. So I'll let Vinny, you're back online. We're going to throw it up to you and let you ask the next one.
Sure thing. I loved how the descriptions have been so intricate, because when I started my SCV journey, many other members, it's almost like you need a mentor that can guide you through this, because there's no book to my knowledge that really outlines all these terms. My first national reunion, I heard the A and V. I go, what's the A and V? What's the AOT? I didn't even know where I should go with which meeting, because that's how confusing it got. So I appreciate the clarity. And on that track of communication, my question is, for years, there's been discussion about improving communications in the SCV. If elected, how would you propose changing the communications for the better?
Well, you're right. Communications has been an issue, and it is a problem. I think that we have got to work with our division. I've got to work with our division staffs, with our brigade commanders and with our camp commanders, to see where our information downfalls are occurring. I have found out that oftentimes, as communications come down through the system, sometimes they lose the momentum, if I may, at different levels, possibly at division. Certainly, its communications are lacking from brigade to camps, and I've even experienced camp leaders who are not sharing the information with their own camps. I'll give you an example. I spoke to a camp, a small camp in rural Tennessee one evening, and I asked them if they were receiving publications and communications. I asked them specifically, showed them a Sentinel magazine that is AOT from Jimmy Hill. Does a great job. I asked them if they were getting the Sentinel. They said, "What? What's the Sentinel?" So the commander spoke up. He said, sheepishly, I don't know how to distribute it to the members. I get it. I don't know how to distribute it. Okay, I understand. So in that particular case, another member said, "Send it to me. I know how to distribute it to our members." So for that camp, that problem is solved, I hope. But this is a boots on the ground kind of operation. You have to get out to the camps. You can't do this from your desktop. You have to get to the camps. You have to talk to the camps. You have to ask them, are you getting these communications? And if you're not, then let's follow through and see why you're not. Who is not sending it forward? We need to know that so we can have some accountability. Otherwise, our membership continues to not be informed. So that's how I see it. It's boots on the ground, talking to members, asking them if they're getting our communications, because I know in many cases they are not. I know in Tennessee, as the Tennessee Division adjutant, I don't rely on our brigade commanders. I have all the camp's email addresses, of course. I email all the publications directly to the camp commanders and adjutants. Now I have to rely on them to get it to their camp members. And I need to follow up with those camps to see if that's happening. But whatever we have to do, we've got to get the information to our people. Otherwise, they don't think we care about them. We have to show them that we care, that we're concerned. And I am concerned. And,
100%. I absolutely. Just speaking from my own experience, early on when I started, and my camp has been around for a long time, but it seemed like we were so disconnected from national and from our Army. And, I think that the internet and getting people involved who are connected online and have a little bit of understanding on the technology aspect really helped improve things for my camp on that end. I never even had heard about the AOT Sentinel until I went down to the national reunion myself for the first time. I met AOT Commander Jimmy Hill, and he said, "Are you getting the Sentinel?" And I said, "What is it?"
Yeah, exactly.
And he said, "You send me an email with your email address, and you'll start getting the Sentinel, and you'll find out what it is." And so now I distribute it onto my camp members.
Yeah.
But that's what we have to do.
Yeah, that's right. And some of our camp members, many of our camp members, don't even have emails. And I've told camp commanders, I said, those folks that don't have emails, get this information to them somehow. If you have to present it at a camp meeting, show them the Sentinel. Go through the Sentinel with them at the camp meeting. Somehow get this information to them. Just don't ignore it. But somehow we got to get it to them. And in some cases, that's tough. I know it's tough.
Well, I thought your answer was excellent. And I agree with you 100%. Every effort that has to be made needs to be made to get information out. I was going to ask you next, do you support the SCV being involved in community service projects, helping those outside of the SCV? If so, what ideas do you have for doing it? And if not, please elaborate.
Community involvement, John, is one of our major issues. It's one of the most important things we can do. Many of our camps are a great secret in our communities. Now, in your case, maybe your camp needs to be a secret. I don't know. But our camps need to be acknowledged and know who we are in the communities. We've done several things in our camp here in Tennessee, and we're in a pretty good community that's receptive of us, as many of our communities are receptive of us. I write articles for a newspaper. I have written an article for well, let me backtrack a second. My camp, and I don't need to brag, but I'm just trying to give you some examples.
Absolutely.
Last year, our camp received a national award. So I thought, this is great. I need to get this into our community so they know who we are and what we're doing. So I sent it to the paper. We have 3 papers here in my community. One paper checked us all out and printed it, that we'd received this national award. Another paper didn't print it, and so I got irritated. I sent it to them again. I still didn't see it. I sent it to them again. I thought, I'm going to irritate these people till they print this thing or tell me to quit. So they printed it. So I went down to the paper and met the editor and thanked him for printing that nice colored picture in the newspaper with all the wording. And we kind of built a rapport. So I sent him an article on our camp, the namesake of our camp, General Hatton, who was a local resident, very popular man. He printed that. So I sent him another article on a historical mansion here in our community. He printed that. So I've just recently written him an article about how important our history is to us and what a de-emphasis is being made against our history in our nation. He's going to print that. And I'm going to send him another article closer to May about the Battle of Lebanon that occurred in May of '62. And he's going to print that. So we're getting a lot, and we put all of our meetings and our programs, our monthly programs, in our local newspaper, in our current events. And they print all of that. And we're involved in our community. When we do a cemetery cleaning, for example, it's a CERT training for us. You know what CERT is, I guess. That's the method we use to clean monuments. We put that in the paper. We invite the public, come and be with us and learn how to clean your family's gravestones and monuments. And we've had the public come to that event. Gives us a chance to reach out to our public. We do other community type things. We do Toys for Tots. I have gotten to the point now where we have a great friend who's a state senator comes to all of our events, speaks to us often. I have a state representative that I'm still working on, trying to get him more involved. Our city mayor and our county mayor have come to events and have spoken at events. Last year we did I communicated with the State of Tennessee Museum. It has a lot of our archives, a lot of our historical items. I talked to them about displaying a flag in our museum here in my county of the 7th Tennessee, who was from Wilson County. So after months of negotiating, we did that. Got great community involvement on that flag display for 2 months. So we're going to do that again this year. We've got another 7th Tennessee flag coming to our museum in May. And we have an opening ceremony. We invite the public. We try to invite, I'm probably talking too much about this, but we try to involve the public in every opportunity we can. And we do community service. We work with other organizations. We have gone to pack things for the needy. You name it. If we can get into it, we're going to get into it. So our camp has great community involvement. And I part of my job as Army of Tennessee commander is to encourage every camp to do that. Every community is different. And they've got to find the niche that is most appropriate for them. We have found our niche, but I've got to encourage them to find their niches in their community where they can serve and get their name out. This is a pet peeve of mine, that we're not involved in our communities. And we got to change that.
Well, hey, you first of all, you don't have to apologize. You certainly aren't going too long on anything. And really, you were hitting a couple of questions at the same time, which is fantastic, because you not only explained about the need for being out in public service, but also how important it is to be explaining what we stand for out in the public, which would have been a question later on. So thank you so much, sir, for that question or for that answer.
You're welcome. God, I could help.
A lot of amazing points. And I love how like just the elaboration, the thought that goes into the answer and like all the different avenues, the creative ways of thinking, which is just so inspiring. And my next question kind of goes along that because I like how you're able to focus on uniting people because that's critical. And my question is, what in your opinion is the number one thing we can do to bring the membership together and prevent division?
Great question. Great question. Working together, side by side, in the best interest of our organization. We're humans, but we need to put aside our personal desires and our personal ambitions for the betterment of the organization. And I know that's tough to do. I have experienced that even in my camp as commander. That sometimes I want to do something that my staff doesn't necessarily want to do. Now I could get mad about that and say, well, just find another commander. I'm out of here. You know, that's unfortunately the kind of attitude that some of our people sadly have. We have to put that aside. We just have to. We must be, you know, communications, I believe, well, in conflict management resolution, they teach you that communications is the key to solving problems in relationships. Listening is the key. Oftentimes, we hear somebody say something immediately we disagree and we close them out. We listen no further to what they're offering. Instead, we go on the offensive and start talking ourselves, not listening to the other side. We've got to open the communication to both sides. And there is a compromise through these negotiations that hopefully can accommodate both sides without making anybody mad or angry or taking their toys and going home. It's hard at times, but it's what we have to do to make this work the way it should work. We've got to surrender once in a while, and be considerate. We're going to disagree. Absolutely, we are going to disagree on a lot of things, but we can disagree in an agreeable manner, right?
That's what my mom's always said. She said you can disagree without being disagreeable.
That's right. We don't have to get angry, don't have to get mad. We just have to talk it through and come to a fair outcome for both sides. I think that's the key. Communicate, listen until it's worked out.
I think you're absolutely right, sir. I'm gonna sort of change the focus just a little bit. You've done a fantastic job talking about the AOT commander position from the AOT centric side of it. But as commander, you also are going to have a vote on issues that affect the entire SCV at a national level. And so, and toward that end, I was wondering what new and innovative ideas do you have to increase long-term revenue coming into the SCV?
Well, what a great question, John. That's something that affects every organization, no matter who you are. We're going to have to do this internally. We cannot rely on grants from foundations, cannot rely on government entities. We have recently found out that doesn't work for us. They're not interested in helping us. So we're on our own. I think it's absolutely critical that we get our museum debt paid off. We still owe, I understand, just over $1 million. We've paid it down a lot, but we still have debt. Commander Broshears last year at National Reunion, you may recall, suggested a fundraiser effort to get this museum paid off. In response to that, I started a fundraiser campaign for our camp for the past few months to see how much we could help out in that effort. So far, we have raised $1,500. Now, I know that's just a drop in the hat, but from one camp, $1,500. So if every camp would join in to the effort, it would make a vast difference. I know some camps have. I know a lot of camps haven't. But we need to join together and get this museum paid off. Do you realize that we spend $13,000 a month paying off this debt? Imagine what we could do in our organization with another $13,000 a month.
Mhm.
We could hire more staff at headquarters to assist us in being more accommodative on things that our members complain about sometimes. We can do many things that are money better spent than to pay off debt. Now, I'm glad we have a museum. I think it's a wonderful asset for us to have. We have people that come to visit. I'm an hour and a half from the museum, from headquarters. Not that far away. I go there fairly regularly. We have people from across the nation that come to our museum, and they learn about our heritage and our culture and our history. And that's fantastic. And these people say, gosh, we never heard of you before. You know, who are you? We've even had a few people that joined the organization as a result of their coming to national headquarters to see the museum in Elm Springs. I don't know if you know, I don't think it's a secret. We recently received a huge donation of artwork by some of our famous artists. That is now at the museum. Over 1,500 prints. I'm told that it exceeds $1 million in value. Now, those prints are going to be sold over the next probably several years. 1,500 prints is an awful lot of prints to sell.
That's a lot.
That's going to be a tremendous revenue booster for our organization. I think we need to have a wider audience for our bookstore. I think we need to have a wider audience for what we have at our Heritage Center at Elm Springs and the museum and all that. I think we need to spread that information out there. I think there's more revenue that can be had if we had a wider dissemination of what's available there. Doing pretty well with that, but I think we can do better. I think we're doing fair in our financials. We just need to get the museum paid off. That's the most critical thing. I think once that's done, we're going to be in good shape.
Absolutely. We're going to have a lot more, room to grow as an organization for sure. More funding, more ability to either put up new monuments, maybe do additional museums, maybe expand our reach, which is so critical.
Absolutely.
And I really love that answer because it covered a lot of stuff too that was here on the question list. But my next question is, I want to know, because I like how you gave goals. You touched upon this in the first part, but if elected, what are
We lost him.
Oh, that's okay. I can go ahead and finish it up because I know where he was at.
Okay.
If elected, what are your goals and objectives, primary goals and objectives for your first year in office? Again, if elected.
Well, John, I told you that my 6 primary goals are. So I won't repeat those unless you want me to. I think, as I mentioned earlier, one of my goals, and I hope one of my councilman's goals, is an effort to visit every possible camp in our AOT Army in the first year. And that will be a challenge. But I think we're up for the challenge. I'm retired. I have time. I know one of the members running for the council is also retired. He has time. So we got to get out. We have to get out to our Army people and see them and talk to them and see what their needs are, how we can assist them. Army councilman and commander work in different areas of our Army department. So my goal is to kind of divide up those regions to the nearest point where we live. And there will be some overlap because I want to attend events and special functions in every state. If you have one in Michigan, then I want to come to your event and support you if at all possible. And if there's one in South Florida, I want to go to South Florida and I want to be there to support them and their efforts. A lot of traveling. My wife and I have talked about this, and we have decided that our travel, if selected for this position, that our travel will be concentrated simply on our visits to camps around the AOT. There will be no other outside travel for us for 2 years. So, and I want to find out in my visits, in my conversations, what the needs are. And I want to assist with those needs. And if I need to take those needs to National Council, then I'm not afraid to go to National Council and tell them what we need. Does that answer your question?
Oh, absolutely, it does. We caught the front end of your question, Vinny, and I was able to go ahead and finish it up for you. And we're getting we've just passed the 45-minute mark on our time together. We're going to try to keep it under an hour. But I wanted to ask at least one more question of you, and that is, what are your thoughts about the associate membership program at the camp level and the Friends of the SCV program as a part of the organization?
I am in absolute agreement with any program that helps us in our outreach to our communities. If that's an associate program, a cadet program, or friend program, I am absolutely for it and would encourage every camp to have such programs. They are our friends. We need all the friends we can get, brothers. They will support us. They like us. They will help us. They even donate to our cause. Why would anybody question such programs? They're very viable for us. So absolutely, I endorse them.
Take it away, Vinny. Good answer. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
That's a great answer. So next question I want to ask is, how do you determine or evaluate success for the position that you're running for?
I think that all goals need to be goals that are manageable and measurable. I think are the two terms that are typically used in leadership training classes, that your goals need to be manageable and measurable. I think my goals are measurable. I think some of them are measurable very easily. Recruitment. Did we gain in recruitment efforts or did we not? I think that's your success or your failure right there. Retention. Did we retain members or did we not do well at retention? Another measurable, obviously, measurable objective. Leadership, I think, is measurable. I think that we find out, do we have staff positions that have been filled that are now empty? Have we had people step up to get on the staff? Have we had people going to training seminars and all the different aspects of leadership? I think that's measurable. Education. Again, I think that's measurable. I think that when we ask people questions about the organization, can they answer those questions? If they can, then I think we're succeeding. If they can't, we need to do more work. Communications, I think, is measurable by finding out if we're doing a better job by asking people, are you getting the documents now that you didn't get before? I think we can tell if we're making headway there or not. Another area that I think is absolutely critical, and it's my sixth goal or objective, and that is support and encouragement. Now, that one may be a little harder to measure, but I think that we can see perhaps an attitude change in camps, that maybe they feel like somebody actually cares for them. And I don't mean to demean anybody. Jimmy Hill's done a wonderful job, and I don't mean for that to come across the wrong way. But but I think if we can improve in some areas in our camps, that if we can support them more, if we can encourage them more, we all need constant encouragement. I don't care who you are. We all need encouragement. If you're not involved in SCV, you need to be encouraged to be involved in SCV. If you're doing a lot in the SCV, like Jimmy Hill and Jason Boshears and all the other people that are doing such great service for our organization, they need to be encouraged. I encourage them every time I see them and thank them for their service. You cannot encourage people enough. You just can't. And so I think that my goals are manageable, and I think they're measurable.
I think that was very, very well said.
Every position having different level of measurable.
You guys are too complimentary.
Excuse me. We are getting so close down to the wire to an hour. I do have at least one more question I'd like to ask. And
Sure.
I don't want to hamstring you, but if you could maybe 2 minutes or less. 2 minutes or less if possible.
Just shut me off. If I don't shut up, just shut me off.
No. But we asked you earlier. We asked you earlier about defining what the office of Army Commander is, and this next question is similar, but really it's a different question. And so I'm going to ask you this: if you win the upcoming election, what does the title of Army Commander for the Army of Tennessee Department, what does that title mean to you?
That title doesn't mean anything to me. What does mean something to me is the job. I'm not interested in this position or this job, because I do see it as a job. I'm not interested in this to carry a title or to be on the GEC. Those things just happen to go along with the job. This job provides me with the ability to get out and influence our camps for better, to try to raise their goals, to take away some of their limitations that's hamstringing them right now. I don't care what you call the title. I'm not interested in the title. I'm interested in the job.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And with that question, we're going to close out the program. Again, I want to thank you so very much for being willing to come on the program and speak to us, speak to the membership of the SCV, particularly those within the Army of Tennessee Department, and to give everyone an opportunity to see and hear from you as a candidate that members of the AOT will have an opportunity to vote for at the SCV National Reunion. Is there anything else at all that you would like to add before we close?
Well, thank you, John. Thanks to you and to Vinny. You've been great host tonight. You've had some great questions, some very pertinent questions that I think your questions have fallen in line with my goals and my objectives and as this position. I would ask those out there that are in the Army of Tennessee, I am here to assist you in whatever way you need, to support you and encourage you. I learned in the campaign of running for state legislature that you always must ask for the vote. I've had people say, well, he did a nice presentation, but he didn't even ask for the vote. So I'm now asking for the vote and for your support as I offer my services to this position. Thank you very much.
And thank you again, sir. And thank you to everyone who's watching tonight. I really hope that this helps you, the viewer, be a more informed voter when we meet as a band of brothers later this summer at the National Reunion. On behalf of our producers, compatriot Vinny Balducci of Private Meredith Pool Camp 1505 out of Hamilton, New Jersey, and compatriot Dennis Palmer out of Secession Camp number 4, Charleston, South Carolina. My name is Jonathan McLeese, Admiral Raphael Sims Camp 1321 out of Dearborn, Michigan, and I thank you for joining us this evening for this edition of Meet the Candidate 2024. God bless you, God bless Dixie, and Deo Bendice.
Deo Bendice.